Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me again. I'm so glad you're here. Today we're going to create a card with the Spellbinders Clear Stamp and Die of the Month Club kit. This is it. It's called Paisley Bouquet. This is the stamp set. They have two, actually if you're new, they have two different kind of clubs with the stamp set. They have the stamp set on its own, and then they also have a stamp and die set to where you can have coordinating dies that will die cut out your images. This the set that I'm showing you here is Stamp and Die Club of the month for June 2022, and again it's called Paisley Bouquet. And then I'm also going to be pairing this set with the embossing folder of the month club kit. This month it is called Botanical Diamond, and I thought we would put both of these together and create a couple of cards. So we're going to jump in and we're going to start off with our first card, and for the most part we're going to be using our Botanical Diamond embossing folder. I wanted to kind of, the pattern in here has a diamond shape. Diamonds in a diamond. I don't know if you can kind of see it here. And I want this to be at an angle on my card. So I'm going to take a piece of white cardstock that is 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches. It's a half of a regular size sheet of cardstock. And then I'm going to emboss this. This way I can cut at a diagonal and then I can place it on my A2 size card. And my camera is not zooming out or in very well. Let's see if we can fix this. But I'm going to run this through my die cut machine and I will be right back. Okay, I went ahead and embossed it, and the pattern you can see is just gorgeous. Beautiful pattern, and you can kind of see the diamond shape here. The diamonds are on the corners of the diamond. And I want to trim here and here with my paper trimmer. Let's go ahead and do that right now. So I'm going to put it in my paper trimmer. I'm actually going to line up my guide edge along the edge of the smaller diamonds here. This way I can get a straight cut on both sides. Here's one. I lined it up against these diamonds. I'm going to flip it around and do the same thing and line it up against these 3 diamonds. Then we have some extra pretty corner pieces too. We can use those. Okay, so this is kind of an odd shape, and I want this to be at an angle on my card. So let's grab our card base, and I'll show you what I mean here. I'm going to put this at an angle. Basically, I want my diamond to be, let me see if I can angle it to where you can see in the light. Diamond here, so it would kind of create a plus. So I want this to be almost in the center of my card base. And so we're going to have leftover on left and right here. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and trim this down. So I need to lightly tack it so I can get this centered. You could probably use a ruler if you wanted to get it right on, but I think I can eyeball it. And I'm making sure that there's evenly spaced between this diamond and this edge, and this diamond and this edge. And once I'm happy, I'm going to flip it around, and I just lightly tacked it. I'm going to use my scissors, and I'm going to trim off the excess here. Now while I'm at it, you can see the pattern really good here. But I'm going to take the leftover and I'm going to adhere this to the corner. So I don't think I need this much from the corner, so I'm going to trim a little bit off. And I'm going to add a heavy amount of adhesive behind it. And I'm going to just place this on the corner. I'm going to leave this white. And I'll do the same thing with my leftover piece here. I'm going to trim a little bit off, add quite a bit of adhesive, and then we're going to tuck this on the top corner. There we go. Now we can put this aside, and with this piece, I'm going to add a little bit of color to my embossed area, and I'm just going to use some very pale Copic markers. I'm going to be using G12 to go around the leaves here, B60, and I'm going to go the inside of the diamonds, and then G00 to add a little bit of blue to this little decorative piece, these two. And to do this, it's going to be really quick and easy. I just want to add a little depth by just adding a little shading to one side. And I think this pale is going to work out great. So that is all I'm going to do. I'm going to be covering up this piece, so I didn't do anything to this piece, but I do just want a little bit of highlighting on that embossed area. After we have this done, we're going to go ahead and take some colored cardstock. I have two different colors. The green is Peridot, and then the blue is Waterfall. And I'm going to take the back of my embossed panel, add some adhesive behind it, and then we're going to layer some colored cardstock behind here. First, we're going to add the Waterfall. So about 1/8 of an inch is showing. And I'll do the same to the opposite end. Just making sure it's lined up. And then I'm going to add my Peridot over my Waterfall. And again, we're just going to do about 1/8 of an inch. Now, Spellbinders has some beautiful border dies, so I'm going to bring in my my Creative Slimline border die set. This has some beautiful borders. I love the loopy, but I think it's too big for that because we're just going to go over the corner here. So I think I'm going to take this piece here, and then we'll take some white cardstock, and I'm going to die cut out 2 strips. I'll just line it up and tape it down, and then we're going to add that to our border as well. So let's tape this down and run this through the die cut machine. Okay, I have my pretty borders, my decorative strips. There's polka dots on here too. And so I'm going to flip again my panel over once more. I'm going to add adhesive behind my Peridot, and we're going to add our borders. And I'm going to tack it down just above the polka dot edge. And then we have some trimming to do. So to do this, since I already have a little bit of adhesive here, I'm going to line it back on my panel, corner to corner, lightly tack it down, and then we're going to flip it over and just trim off our borders that we added. And I think that is really, kind of really soft and pretty. Normally I like to pop up my cards, but I think we're going to go ahead and directly adhere this to our card base. Just tack this down. Okay, now we need a sentiment, and then we also need to do a little bit of stamping with our stamp set. So let's bring in our stamp set, and I'm going to keep it really simple. We're going to take these 2 Paisley pieces, and I'm going to go ahead and put these on a couple acrylic blocks. The nice thing about the Paisley pieces, these 3, is you can layer them together, and I think these are going to lay perfectly for my card center here. So let's stamp this with white cardstock, and I'm going to first stamp it with my green ink. I'm using my Memento inks. This is New Sprout, and I'll stamp this. I'm kind of going for colors that kind of coordinate, but I think it's going to stand out, and I did add a little bit of blue to this area. So I'm going to finish it off by adding a few highlights with those same markers that I used. And I'm just going to add color to the dots. Okay, now there is coordinating die set since it is the stamp and die of the month. So what we'll do is die cut these out. Okay, we're just punch these out, and they die cut beautifully. And you know what? They die cut almost to the edge, which makes it really nice. I'm going to use a foam square and add one foam square to the middle of the larger paisley piece, and then I'll layer my lighter blue right in the center. I love how soft that is. Okay, and I think it's going to go really well in the center of our card. Now I am going to need a sentiment, so let's take our sentiment. I'm going to use the one that says Beyond Grateful. And I want to Beyond Grateful. I want to stamp it a couple times on this strip of white cardstock. For this, I'm going to use my black ink. And we're going to make a continuous Beyond Grateful on this strip. So we'll just center it, and I'll just continue along. Okay, once I want this to go the full length of my card base. So I think 3 of them worked out great. I didn't get it completely centered, so I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer, and we're going to even this up a little bit. And I think that's going to work out. Now I'm going to just use my adhesive, my tape runner, and add adhesive all along the back of my sentiment strip. And then I'm going to place this at a diagonal from the top left to the bottom. Now I'm going to go ahead and add another piece of dimensional adhesive behind my little paisley piece. And then I'm going to tack this down in the center. And then last but not least, we need to add some embellishment. So I'm going to bring in some of my Aquamarine AB Color Essential Gems. And I'm going to add a medium gem right to the center. And let's go ahead and add some smaller gems all around. Okay, we're just finishing off with those gems. And then that finishes off my card, my first card, using our beautiful Embossing Folder of the Month Club Kit for June. I don't even think I told you the name of it. Yeah, I did. This is called Botanical Diamond. So that's card number 1. We're going to move along to our next card. Let's zoom back out. Next card, I thought we would create a shaker and basically do the same thing, but put one of these inside on top of the shaker window. Spellbinders has some new sequins, and these are so pretty. And so I thought we would make a shaker using these. We're going to start by taking some white cardstock, and I think that we might be able to use this piece here. I'm going to bring in my some square dies. This is the Spellbinders Essential Square Set. And yes, I'm going to cut out a frame. I'll cut out a background too with the largest, and then I'm going to create a frame with some dotted detail for my shaker. So I'm going to tape these down and die cut out a frame for my shaker card here. Okay, so I created a frame, and I had already put acetate behind it. You can see here, make it a little bit faster, and then this is the background piece for it. We're going to flip this around, and I'm going to add some foam strips behind here. That was overhanging. I did add some foam, the thin foam strips along the edge too. So I kind of put it in between one strip here and skipped over the dots and then put one on the edge. Let's grab some of our sequins. I love that these come in a Ziploc baggie for storage. Let's open these up here. This is the teal opalescent, and I'm going to add some in here. I want to basically fill the background. The middle of this is going to be covered with our flower or our paisley, and so kind of want to mix them up a bit. And I'm going to go full blown. So my shaker's not really going to shake, but I think it's going to have a real pretty shine in that background. I think that's going to work out great. Just kind of mixing and matching them both. So I had the teal opalescent, and then I have the aura opalescent. Now I already removed my release paper. Now all I have to do is add my cardstock on the back. And I'll line it up corner to corner. Press down on it really good. And it does move a little bit, but for the most part, it's stationary. And I like that. Now for my card base, I'm going to do a little bit of ink blending, and I'm going to try and get away with the inks that are already on my blending brushes. I want to ink blend on the very bottom and kind of fade up. So we're going to start with, actually I better bring in my craft mat. I'm going to start with my teal colored blending brush, and it probably has salvage patina on here or peacock feathers. And I'm going to kind of fade up, not too far. This is directly on my card base. And then once I'm happy with this, I'm going to go in with my green ink, and this probably has Twisted Citron or Mowed Lawn. And then I'm going to go around the bottom edge here, just so you can see the green and the blue. But I don't want to go all the way up. Should we do the top? No, I think that's going to be perfect. And then I'm going to stamp my sentiment. For this card, I'm going to stamp Hope This Card Finds You Well. I think that's such a pretty sentiment. And I'm going to use my VersaFine ink for my sentiment. So let's ink this up. I like the font of this sentiment, and I like how thin it is. I'm going to stamp this right below our window. And I think it stamped great. I'm going to go ahead and flip over my shaker, add some adhesive behind it, and then we'll tack this down. Okay, now I'm going to stamp and do the same thing that I did with my first card with just these two paisley pieces. I think that's going to fit perfectly in the window. You could of course do 3, but I think my third one, let me see, my largest, let's see. I think I want to stamp my largest on some acetate. Let's see if we can get away with this. I'm going to use my StazOn ink because I want it black. We're going to ink up our largest image with StazOn ink. I haven't used this in a while, so hopefully we can get this to stamp. Then I have a piece of acetate, and we're going to stamp our image right on it. Press down really good. Ooh, and it's stamped. Beautiful. Look how pretty that is. Nice. Okay. After we stamped on our acetate, we can take the coordinating die. And you can see I already made another one of those little paisley pieces. It dries pretty quick. I'm gonna die cut out my acetate. Okay, once we have our acetate die cut, I'm gonna go ahead and add some adhesive behind my paisley piece that we created early, and this should line up perfectly with the detail that's on the acetate. Pretty close anyway. So we have that black edge. I think that's going to go really good, especially with that sentiment. Now I'm going to add a thinner foam circle behind my acetate. I'll just remove the release paper and then we can pop this up on our shaker. That way it shakes a little bit, but we still have that pretty detail. Okay, I'm going to finish it off with some black and white baker's twine. And I'm going to just thread it through the top of my card. And we're going to tie a bow off to the left. This is Licorice Twist. It's my favorite black and white baker's twine. Get a big roll of it too. And then we'll just shorten that bow a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and trim the tails. I'm going to leave the tails a little bit long. And I think that's just what that needed. So that is project number 2, using our clear stamp and die of the month club kit called Paisley Bouquet from Spellbinders. This is the June club kit. And this is the Embossing folder club kit. I hope this gives you some ideas on how to use the club kit this month. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining me. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.